gonna make one thing really clear, okay? It's really simple. Advertising works on everyone. Everyone. There is nobody who it doesn't work on. Even the people that create the adverts work on them too. There's nobody that is exempt from advertising working on.
I heard a story of somebody who's been up to Tibet, and they go up there and there's virtually no one. They've walked almost a day and they're at the top of a massive hill, and you see in a distance a guy carrying or towing a cart with his body, and in that cart is Coca-Cola.
I'll just start off by saying hello, Chris. Thanks for joining me again on the MvR podcast.
Good evening, James.
And we're talking today basically about advertising. Now, everybody says that advertising doesn't work on them. And I think that's really quite funny. Nobody thinks...
I'm one of them.
You're one of them, right. And so everybody says that advertising doesn't work on them. And yet companies still spend billions of dollars every year on advertising. So who is correct and who is not, is the question.
And it's a very good question, especially now with the internet. It's very easy to make an assumption that the old way of advertising has little to no effect.
Yes.
And that's how I feel.
Yeah, that is a really good point. However, I will tell you that is not true. Okay, there's really after doing lots of reading on this, there's such a big difference between the average person, the customer in the world, and the people who work in advertising. Like in the way that the advertisers know how things work, and the average person does not. They think they have an idea, but they actually don't. So there, to get the easy stuff out of the way, okay. The reason nobody thinks advertising works on them is because they are thinking mostly of direct advertising, right? And this is where you see something that says, buy this today, call this number, and you can buy a new vacuum cleaner. It will clean up everything in your house. All the dirt will be gone, like that. And it says, call this number now.
And if you're one of the first 5 callers, we're going to give you an extra special add-on.
Yeah, exactly. People are mostly people are pretty savvy to that stuff. Okay, and that's because it's pretty simple. You did not pick up the phone, and therefore the advertising didn't work on you, right? But the thing is that direct stuff, the direct advertising, this kind of stuff is just for the small, what I would call the small fish. Right, the direct advertising is for the unknown brands, the ones you've never heard of. Okay, and they want to make a quick buck.
And it's highly effective as well.
It works. Oh yeah,
and probably the most expensive in terms of cost per acquisition, which is probably what these companies measure their results in.
It is
highly expensive.
Yeah, and the other thing you should know is that advertising doesn't always work. Like there are failure advertising campaigns that they spend loads of money on them and it just doesn't work. The people that are making them, it's a bit of a mystery to them which campaign is going to work and which one is not. Like they are, because you're dealing with human psychology, and they are continually confused by why one ad campaign works and why one doesn't. And you would never think that.
And just to make things a bit clearer, you're talking about general advertising or the direct advertising?
Well, this is both. This is both.
Both.
I mean, there are certain rules you can follow. Anyway, so that's direct advertising, and most people, it does not. It works on many people because that's why people do it, right? People would not do advertising if it didn't work. But the other kind of advertising is like the what do you call it? Like the general brand awareness advertising, I might call it. And this stuff, this stuff works.
That's your KFC viral advertising, that your Coca-Colas, your Pepsis,
Exactly right. That's exactly right. And these work really well, unbelievably well. Around the whole planet, these work. You know, you can get Coca-Cola in North Korea, I believe. I'm pretty sure you can get it in North
Um,
Korea.
Unbelievable, yes. And I heard a story of somebody who's been up to Tibet, and they go up there and there's virtually no one. They've walked almost a day, and they're at the top of a massive hill, and you see in a distance a guy carrying or towing a cart with his body, and in that cart is Coca-Cola,
Right. It is
the
everywhere.
only product.
And now you've got to think, like, just to peel away. This is a really good exercise to do, by the way, for anyone who's listening. If you just think about what Coca-Cola actually is, and you remove the red label around the can, and you're left with just one of those metal cans, and then you open the can and you pour it into a glass, okay, and you chuck the packaging away. So what you're left with is you have this sort of brown fizzy liquid, okay, that is not a natural liquid. It's got tons of sugar in, it's got salt in, and it's got basically a bunch of random chemicals, and it's been proven to increase your risk of cancer, obesity, it'll rot your teeth, all kinds of stuff. It's basically slow poison. You might think that's an exaggeration, but I mean, it's not. It's a slow poison. It will eventually, if you keep drinking it, it is likely to kill you. If you continue to
Yes,
drink it all the time.
and I have heard that same stuff that they put in Coca-Cola is actually an industrial stripper. So they use this commercially to strip metals and various other products, and that's the stuff you're putting in your stomach
I completely,
at a lower level.
yeah, I imagine that's true. I don't know, but yeah, they would do this. As long the only thing that is measured is short-term health consequences. The long-term stuff, they don't measure it. It's not important. Basically, because it's very hard to get evidence for the long-term stuff. If you're going to cause cancer in somebody, you don't know what it was that caused the cancer, so you can't prove if you're drinking Coca-Cola every day was what gave you cancer or not. But you know, we think it's likely, but we can never prove it. So anyway, once you take away the advertising of the drink, it becomes this disgusting, like, toxic liquid that everybody around the world is drinking all the time. And then you think, oh my god, like, why are people drinking? Why are people not drinking like a green juice, like some things that will help them and make them feel good? Everybody's drinking like this weird brown liquid full of sugar that is giving people obesity. Like, what is going on? What?
It's horrendous.
Agreed. Now, this is the power of advertising, okay? Because without the advertising, people wouldn't drink it, really. A few people would, but not really. So, let me tell you then. This is how advertising works. To make it really simple, okay? Chris, do you know what Maslow's hierarchy of needs is?
I have an idea. That's the little triangle, the little pyramid where it says this is what the human basic needs are, and it goes all the way to the top, and it illustrates the more glamorous needs of us humans.
That is basically correct, but it's not just the glamorous one. So the first layer at the bottom is what we call the physiological needs. So breathing, food, water, shelter, sleep, that stuff. We need that. After that, you've got safety, security, which is like being healthy, having a job, having somewhere to live, a family. Above that, you've got love and belonging, like friendship, relationship, connection. And then above that, you've got self-esteem, which is confidence, respect for others and achievement. And at the very top, you've got self-actualization, which is like creativity and achieving your life goal or whatever. Okay, so that's what it is. And that guy Maslow, he put it into a pyramid. And this is everything that a human being needs or wants. Okay? So
Sure.
this is what advertising does. You take that pyramid, and then you take the imagine a pyramid here, and then imagine Coca-Cola on the right, just next to the pyramid. Okay. The whole goal of all advertising is to associate their product with something that is on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Okay, every single advertisement is exactly the same. They will take the product and they'll try to associate that with one of these something that you want, basically. So all of the natural things you want, like for instance Coca-Cola, their adverts usually show like young people like jumping up and down, like being very happy and like they're having a great time. And that would go on to that would be linked to self-actualization.
Level.
I would say it would be
Okay.
no, let me think about this. It would be on, yeah, it could be the third, it could be love and belonging. Yeah, it could be
Yes, so I'm looking at your blog at the moment, and I
yeah,
see you've got the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 levels,
that's right.
and the third level is love and belonging. And I see there that you've mentioned or you've placed in here sense of connection,
Yes.
which seems to be a very, very strong selling point
Oh yeah.
in a lot of awareness campaigns.
That's a big one. I think you could say Coca-Cola is the sense of connection. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. And also another one here is health. Okay, you see it on the second row, health. And this is actually would be hilarious if it wasn't so fucked up, basically. So Coca-Cola, in all of their adverts, every single actor and actress in the advert is a young person with perfect clear skin, and they look like they're in good shape. Nobody is overweight. Like everybody's in good shape and they look like models, right? They look healthy. So what they're doing is they're associating their product with health, which is the exact opposite to reality, which I find just like unbelievable. That sometimes you're just like, what the fuck is going on with this world?
Yeah, and if you've ever bought a 1.5 litre or a 2 litre bottle of Coke, you soon realise that it's certainly not bringing you anything in the realms of happiness or friendship or sense of connection. I find I get that feeling after the first glass.
Yeah,
Let's say it's a really hot day, you've been working all day, or maybe you've been busy doing things, and you reward yourself with that glass, and you do feel that. You do feel it for a very short period of time. But of course, once you continue to drink it, that's when you get the gastro issues. That's when you get the bloated stomach,
right.
the feeling of, too much caffeine, too much sugar.
It feels very nice to open the bottle like in the commercials, but to act, and makes that sound when you open it. Oh, sounds so good, just like in the commercials.
It's the sound of reward.
It is a beautiful sound, I have to admit. But
You deserve that glass of Coke.
that's right. You deserve this, and how refreshing. And by the way, you can be sure that their sound design team worked on that sound for quite a long time.
I imagine they would have. But certainly they've probably worked on everything. Of course, red, the color in itself, is a very grabbing color.
Absolutely.
Obviously, that's designed in some way as well. I'm sure Coca-Cola has worked on virtually everything.
Think of all the think of Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Burger King, KFC. Which color is in all their logos?
Well, overwhelmingly red.
Okay, why? Yeah.
I would say that red, it's like a traffic light, isn't it? Stop.
Yeah, but there's a deeper reason. I will tell you. Okay, the color red. We were evolved to pay attention to the color red. Red is blood. If you think about the natural environment, right, in the world, it's mostly green and brown and grey. Red is blood and red is ripe fruit, and also red is a woman who is horny as well. And it's true. Their lips will turn more red. So red is an important color that you evolved to look out for. So red actually increases your appetite. It actually looking at red.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is why they use it.
Oh, wow. And even I'm looking at, again, referring back to your blog, I'm looking at the photograph of a woman She's sitting outside next to a swimming pool.
Yeah.
She's wearing a red hat with red glasses, with red nail polish, a red bikini top, and she has red lipstick using a red and white straw, which is dunked into a bottle of Coca-Cola.
That's right.
Amazing.
It's not accidental. Imagine if the color of Coca-Cola was gray. Imagine if it would they use gray colors. How would you feel about Coca-Cola?
Yeah, I don't think there's probably any food product that uses the color grey, and
Exactly.
probably specifically for that reason. It's just associated with boredom.
That's right.
It doesn't grab me like that color red.
Just like the notifications on Facebook.
Right. Yes, and they're all made to grab certain things. I think you've written a blog on that as well.
Yeah, I did a blog on color in advertising before. That's why I know this stuff. And the thing is, it's really interesting because it's actually more like the when these logos were made many years ago, like before the science came out. So people have just done this. It's a weird one because the people who made the logos, they did it just kind of intuitively, or they just sort of figured out what worked. And then later the science came out afterwards saying actually red is actually increasing your appetite and it raises your heart rate and your blood pressure as well. The science came afterwards, and that happens all the time with advertising. Like people did it intuitively before, and then the science came out afterwards to say, yeah, this does work. So this is the kind of depth that is going on here in your everyday life. Every single day, everybody is seeing these things all the time. And nobody really cares or pays any attention to it.
Yeah, and we're all just led to believe that it doesn't work.
Yeah, I don't even know if we're led to believe. I think there's a weird psychological thing in your brain where you don't want to feel like you are being manipulated because it hurts your ego.
That's right. And I think in the 90s, it would have been a lot easier to perhaps admit or say that advertising has an effect, because in the 90s, a lot of people would have watched TV.
Yeah.
And, you had no kind of control over those ads. They would play every 15 minutes if you were watching your favorite TV show. But these days, people, I think, tend to think that because they're not watching the old 30-second commercials anymore on the telly, that they're immune to advertising, when in actual fact, they're probably more prone to advertising more than any time in the history of advertising.
It's hard to say the difference between the internet and the TV era. I do think in some ways the TV era was a bit worse. And that's because it was commonplace for everybody to sit there through every commercial break and just have these advertisements just shown to them. Whereas these days people do kind of skip adverts. But I'm going to make one thing really clear, okay? It's really simple. Advertising works on everyone. Everyone.
Absolutely.
There is nobody who it doesn't work on. Even the people that create the adverts work on them too. There's nobody that is exempt from advertising.
Even if on only a subconscious level.
Yeah, exactly. Let me explain the subconscious level, okay? I hope we're getting really deep, okay? So there is something, because I was talking before about having an association between Coca-Cola and youth, right? So you would think that once you understand that and you go, hey, Coca-Cola has nothing to do with being young. That makes you look older. It wrinkles your skin. You would think that that's it, right? You logically understand that Coca-Cola has nothing to do with being young. But the fact is, even me sitting here, those advertisements still work on me. Even me knowing that right now, okay? So now we're going to move on to the subconscious layer, the stuff that you're not aware of and you can't control, okay? So there's a scientific theory, right? It's called somatic markers. If you scroll down my blog, you'll see it down there, okay?
Yep, I'm on that now. Yep.
That's right. This is quite hard to explain. So when we were during your life, your brain will actually continue to make associations with objects in the environment. Okay, it helps to keep you alive. If you eat a red berry and it makes you sick, you will be looking out for that again, and your brain will create a so-called marker to help you to remember to change your behavior next time, subconsciously. And the same thing is true for crossing the road. So when you were younger, what would have happened is your parents would have told you many times, look left and look right before you cross the road. And you would have gone, yeah, okay, mum, whatever, mum and dad, I'll remember. But that is not when you learned to look both ways. When you learn to look both ways across the road is a time that you don't remember and I don't remember. And that is when you started to walk into the road without looking, and a car drove by and you were like, oh, I didn't see that coming, like that. That's when the marker in your brain was placed. And then from now on, you sort of change your behavior subconsciously. You sort of, okay, I'm going to look left and right now. It's something your brain does. You're always creating associations between things. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? You know, and it will go into the subconscious. So what happens is that to make it simple, so here's how it works. So advertisements create intuition. They create intuition. You know how sometimes you feel like you know what the right thing to do is? You have a gut feeling, right?
Sure.
A gut feeling. You're like, it just feels right. It feels right. So they create gut feelings in people. So what you do is you get the Coca-Cola bottle, the logo, and you get all the people dancing and having a great time. They look healthy, and your brain creates what we call a somatic marker, an association in your brain between youth, happiness, and just the color of Coca-Cola and the logo. So the association is made subconsciously that it's a good thing and it's a positive thing, right? It's healthy, it's good. Now, what happens is then you go to the drinks fridge, right? Like you said, you're done with work. You're finished with work, and you're just kind of thirsty. And you see all of the bottles lined up. You have like tons of choices in the supermarket, right? You've got like loads of different drinks you can choose. And it just feels right to get Coca-Cola, you know? You're not really sure why. It's just like a gut feeling. You're just like, yeah, I'm going to get a Coke, you know? I finished my day. I finished my work. I think I deserve... It's a very quick thing. It happens in a split second. You go, yeah. There are other brands like Tesco's Coca-Cola or whatever. You're just like, nah, I want to get a Coke. And that's because they placed a gut feeling in your psyche. Could be years ago. But with Coca-Cola, it's a continuous thing being reinforced all the time. Yeah.
And it's very convenient. And of course, not only now is it Coca-Cola that's in your face, there's a plethora of other brands that are in your face as well. For instance, you might have the energy drink if you're in Australia or the United Kingdom. You might have Red Bull, or you might have V, which is an energy drink, and they too have put that image subconsciously in your brain. So I quite often stand in front of a fridge and I gaze at it for sometimes minutes at a time. The drink Coke always jumps out at me.
Yeah.
But I'm still equally as confused because I've got all of those advertising campaigns subconsciously embedded in my brain, that it almost confuses my decision.
Yeah.
Even though Coke is the first decision that I would make.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, it's not just Coca-Cola. You're right. There's like Fanta over there and like Pepsi to the other side. And you know, for some reason, here's something interesting. Just to stay on this topic, but in blind taste tests, when you don't know which brand it is, Pepsi. Everybody rates Pepsi is tasting better. When you don't know which one it is, but Coca-Cola sells way more, and there you go.
Wow. That's that color red, I would say.
It's red. That's. I mean, we don't really know how much the color red is having an effect. We really can't measure it. Like, there's no real way to actually measure that. But we know. Well, I mean, for some reason people are buying Coke more than Pepsi, even though they prefer Pepsi. So The only difference is the marketing. There's nothing else. It has to be the marketing. It could be the color red. It could be their their constant advertising campaigns from Coca-Cola. And it's a bit of a mystery to even the people that make the adverts. They don't quite understand why it works, but they try different things, and certain things sort of work.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, it's a very, very interesting topic, and it extends much, much further than the big brands.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look at, for instance, these days, retargeting campaigns, banner advertising on websites and YouTube, and that in itself provides people with what they call a term, impressions.
Yeah.
So while a banner ad you may think has no significance on your day whatsoever, they know that if they can show something on a banner ad X amount of times, it increases their overall chance of you finally clicking the buy now button.
That's true.
That's again another very interesting topic when it comes to advertising. And I thought it didn't work. I always thought, well, this is just annoying. I'm seeing this ad again and again and again for this useless product that I'm never going to buy. But you've illustrated it quite clearly that they're targeting you to make those decisions at your weakest point.
That's right.
You're emotional. You may be emotionally strong one day, but that doesn't mean that at the end of a week's work that you're going to finally click on that and buy that product.
Oh yeah, everybody has everybody gets tired and has those sort of weak moments for sure. Everybody, and yeah, it works. And so that's the reason. So you see the same advert over and over again, right? But the fact is, a bit more psychology for you. The more that you see something, this is true. It's pretty obvious, really. The more that you see something, the more familiar you become with something, the more you actually like it. So if you continue to see the same advert again and again, you might think you're getting annoyed with it, but actually you're getting more comfortable with it. And then later on, you become familiar with it, and you feel like you like that brand more. And the way banner ads work is, yes, you see it like 10 times, and then you're like, well, there's a bit of psychology involved as well. It's like, well, this advert has been allowed. It's been allowed to stay on this website for so long. Maybe there has to be something to it. That's kind of what's happening subconsciously. It's like if it was bullshit, the advert, then it wouldn't be allowed to be there. That's sort of what's going on. But yeah.
And that's what I tend to find day to day in my life, more so than your traditional forms of advertising. Is certainly if I go to a website and you are logged into your Google account, that's what you face. You will find that same ad, and they liken it to drips, basically. It's like a tap dripping, and it will just continually send you drips, which are impressions, and it just drips and it drips and it drips. And as you just mentioned, you become more and more familiar with it. You become comfortable with it, and then one day, oh look, I think I might look further into it, and before you know it, I'm on the end of a product that's arriving from Amazon.
That's right. Everything on the internet is a sales funnel. People have to understand what a sales funnel is. Okay, you've got imagine the shape of a funnel. You've got the top layer, which is getting you to click, right? And the second layer is they'll want you to, well, I guess it could be quite a small funnel. It could be they want you to click, and then they want you to they want to buy. Not explaining this very well. Yeah. Anyway, I don't know what I'm saying. So yeah.
Well, effectively, a sales funnel was like any other funnel, except there could be layers and layers and layers before they've actually, before they actually make a sale. And generally, with a sales funnel, there's a whole heap of ways to start it. So, in one example, you might have a website, and that website then asks for your email address, and then you put your email address in, and then they at the next stage of the funnel is they ask you to revisit their blog, and you read more and more about the product, and then they send you another email, and then by that stage, because you've visited the blog, the banner ads start happening, and then when you navigate away from the website, the YouTube ads start happening, and they're all designed to get you back to that website and closer to the buy now button.
Absolutely. There's
probably a bad example, but
no, it's called a sales funnel. All over the internet. There's a reason they take your email. It's not, why else would they do it if it didn't work?
That's for the free ebook, James.
Yeah,
it's for the free ebook.
And why are they going to the trouble to give you a free ebook, I wonder? It's
exactly.
part of the sales. It's part of the sales funnel. And this is the thing you've always got to think with advertising. It's really simple. If it didn't work, why in the hell would they do it? Like, if it didn't work, if advertising didn't work, then why are there commercials everywhere? Do you think all these companies are just throwing their money away? Like, of course it works.
Yeah. And the same goes for the buttons now. So the buttons they've found, instead of using a generic buy now button, they start the funnel with the words learn more.
Yeah.
And what they've found is that it's easier to get you in that sales funnel by using the words learn more than it is to use a phrase like find out more or read more about this. So they've found out through a lot of studies that learn more is one of those ways of easing you into that funnel. So that's just an interesting point in terms of digital marketing, at least.
You're absolutely right about that. And the really interesting thing with digital marketing is that they have all the data exact. So with TV advertising, it's really quite hard to measure what is working and what is not. You're kind of throwing darts at, I don't know, you're just jabbing around like you don't know what is working. But online, you know exactly what is working. So you know that if you change the button from find out more to learn more, you can actually look at the analytics and you can see if you can do an A/B test, right? So you have one advert with learn more, you have one advert with find out more, and you see which one gets more clicks. And you can do that with every single, you can do it with the color. Is it better to have a red button or a blue button? You throw both adverts out there. It's an A/B test. And then you find out that the red button is bringing in more clicks. So you keep the red button. And they will do this with every single bit of text that is on the advert. It's called copywriting, right? It's a whole profession. And you would be amazed the amount of detail that are put into these adverts. Every single part of the advert has been perfected to get the most clicks.
Yeah. And it's probably not the greatest time to get into it, but this is also what they are alleging occurred with the 2016 presidential election.
Yeah.
Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, probably a very complex topic, probably not something that you'd want to go too deep into, but in that example, effectively they would know that John liked rifles, John was slightly right-leaning, John was into pet food, and what they'd do is they'd find that nuance and they'd target John with what would usually be a news article, but what they're alleging is that those news articles were fake, and they had come from Russia. So very, very, very deep subject. But effectively, that's how they were doing it. They used Facebook data to target people with fake news articles, which were heavily, heavily weighted in Trump's favor.
That's right. Now, you're absolutely right. There's no way we can get into that whole madness right now. Sorry. It's too much.
Very, very difficult.
But you did bring up an interesting point in that it's all the same game. So whether you're selling products or you're trying to advertise a politician in your election campaign, it's all exactly the same. What you're doing is you're taking Maslow's hierarchy of needs and you're trying to link that politician to certain things on the pyramid. You want to think that that person will give me health, they will give me love, sense of belonging, confidence, and some hopefully self-actualization as well, like acceptance in the community, a sense of connection. So all of this stuff is, they basically just take the candidate, the elected presidential candidate, they try to build an association in your mind between that candidate and something on the hierarchy of needs. That's politics, that is propaganda even. It's advertising, it's all exactly the same.
So, except it was very uncommon to coin it news prior to that election. So
yeah, well, like I said, the fake news thing, we got to do another podcast on that whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So shall we wrap it up?
Let me think. No, not almost. I got one more thing that I want to talk about. Okay. Have you ever noticed how on these going back to TV adverts, they more and more they really like to use animals and cute little creatures and things like that? Have you noticed that, sir?
Yes, I have. Yes, and particularly the ad that you highlighted in your blog, the Andrex puppy.
Yeah. So it's really insane. But what do? You can take a puppy. People like puppies. They are soft. When you feel them, they are very soft and just like you want your toilet paper to be. Just in case you're not sure, so in the UK there's a brand of toilet paper called Andrex, and in all of their adverts they have like they have a golden retriever puppy, and the puppy will like play with the toilet paper and things like that. And yeah, they're trying to build an association in your mind between puppies and toilet paper. And if you just take a step back away from the advert and you think, what do puppies have to do with toilet paper? Chris, tell me, what do puppies have to do with toilet paper?
I wouldn't know unless you were actually physically using that toilet paper to, you know what, on your pet. I don't think there's any other reason for including the dog apart from the fact that it looks cute.
It's absurd,
and it's
right?
Soft.
It's absolutely insane. Like, you just have to think, why is there a puppy in this? There's an advert about toilet paper, and they keep showing this puppy. And why? What link does this have? There is no real link. But what you can do, the fact is, you can take any two items in the world, and with advertising, you can build an association between them. So what you do is you take everything that you love about puppies, and you link it, you associate it with the toilet paper brand. And even on the packet, the puppy is on the packet of toilet paper. And they do this, so you buy the toilet paper with a subconscious feeling of comfort and family values and just it's a cute toilet paper, you know. It's all subconscious, and there are many toilet paper brands to choose from. And you go, I just got this gut feeling. I don't know why. I just want to buy this Andrex paper. You know, I'm not sure why. It just feels right.
And just to add to that, the Labrador has been used worldwide. So it's not just Andrex. In New Zealand, we had a brand called Cotton Soft.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking online now. There's also a brand called Baby Soft in South Africa.
Yeah.
And another one. It appears to be coming from Kleenex Corporation.
Oh, yeah.
So they've used this worldwide.
Yeah, if they figure out that something works, they will do it in another country, because people in New Zealand don't know about Andrex. So you can repeat the same marketing campaign in different countries. They always borrow from each other. And another really common one is breakfast cereals. So basically every single box of breakfast cereal has a character. You've got Tony the Tiger. You've got, the Rice Krispies guys, like the three little guys. Honey Loops has that little bee, honey bee, and every single one of these boxes has a character on the front, because they're associating the cute character with the cereal itself.
Sure, and in Australia they've got Kellogg's, which has a tiger, Tony the Tiger. I think it's actually United Kingdom, Kellogg's.
That one's global, so we had Tony the Tiger as well. It's everywhere. 'Cause he's a big, strong tiger, and what that means is that eating frosties will make you a strong person, you know. But it's never said. They don't usually say Frosted Flakes will make you a strong tiger. They don't say that. They just place the product next to the tiger, and your brain does the rest. They don't have to say it directly.
Wow.
You think that Frosties will give you strong energy throughout the day, but Frosties are filled with sugar. Again, it's gonna deplete your energy. Eating sugar at the start of your day is the worst thing you could do. And what's going on is that kids around the world are starting their day off by eating a big sugar bomb, because the advertising told them it would give them energy, and the parents believed it. So they bought it for their kids, and the kids like it because it's got sugar on it and it tastes nice. But actually, it's weakening their immune systems. It's making them addicted to sugar, so they're more likely to grow up and be obese because they've got sugar addiction. And it's basically ruining the start of their day every day. But they think it's making them stronger.
And interestingly enough, it's you've got all these brands that use these cute, sort of icons such as Coco the monkey, Cornelius the rooster, which is the Kellogg's brand.
Right.
But then when you look at McDonald's and KFC, they've got probably the most scariest. You've got Colonel Sanders on one side and Ronald McDonald on the other.
Oh man.
And yet famous, massive icons.
Yeah, people around the world know Ronald McDonald more than they do their own presidents.
Wow.
So when
amazing.
When they're showing a photo. I think Ronald, well, in America, I believe Ronald McDonald is banned. Is that right? I think.
I don't know. All I can say he is the creepiest mascot.
Yeah.
You know, if we're looking at these furry bears and the Cadbury's got a little bunny rabbit.
Yeah.
Even Captain Morgan Rum's got a little, pirate all dressed up. Yeah, and then you go to Ronald McDonald's. As a child, if McDonald's wasn't so exciting, I would have labelled him exceptionally scary.
He's a weird one, isn't he? He is still used. He's still used around the world. I think he has been banned in the UK. I remember at one point I stopped seeing him, and that's because they're making kids obese. So they thought, finally, after like years and years of just direct advertising to kids for this poison food, basically, finally someone stepped in and said, okay, you can still poison our whole country with your food, but you can't use the clown anymore because it's just a bit much.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Like, holy crap. I will never forget that slogan. On my deathbed, I'll be able to recite that. If I had Alzheimer's, I would still probably remember.
Yeah, and you're finding these big corporations now are simplifying, or what's the word? They are really using simplicity these days. I'm loving it. Very, very simple.
Yeah.
And you'll never forget it. Absolutely right.
That's right. It's just got to convey the right message, and they use red and yellow. So, like I said, red raises your appetite. Yellow is a color that is associated with the sun, which is basically a color that makes you feel pretty happy. So they use red and yellow together. It's the perfect combination of colors. Burger King is red and yellow. KFC is just red and white, I think. But
that's right.
But yeah, Burger King has the same colors. I think Wendy's in America, that's red. On all of think of a Mars bar or a Twix bar, or most chocolate bars will have the red writing on it.
That's right.
Yeah. So Ritz crackers, it's everywhere basically. Thank you guys. Thanks for listening, guys. Until next time. Bye.
See you later.
See ya.